love is that which is of God. And we find that it's not based only on a feeling, but it becomes unconditional. It's something that you do when you don't feel like doing it. It's called love. Commitment, the vow and pledge to do and to complete something. It is the state of being bound spiritually, financially, emotionally, and or intellectually to a course of action.
When you think about the commitment and even the fact that we didn't believe in divorce, one of the things that even helps us today, and we even say this to our couples, that when you take divorce off the table, it forces you to seek other options for the growth and development of your relationship. As long as divorce is on the table, you always got a way out. And then you know, when someone keeps hearing that, and that's something, you know, it was in our minds and our hearts, but we never talked about, like, well, let's just get a divorce. That was not a word that we ever threw around at each other, because we knew if we said it, it was going to be something serious. And so because we had that as our background, if you in it for life. If you're not in it and you separate, and it was for reasons that was not for adultery, then you could be separate, but you couldn't have nobody else. And so having that in our mind and knowing that, you know, I got to be with this one person, I'm making a commitment, and commitment is a choice. You have to choose that I'm going to do what it takes to work through this. So for many of us, those that are married, you need to consider that as your first step. If you want or seeking reconciliation, take divorce off the table. Compatibility to experience harmony, unity, and agreement often involves adaptability and confirmation. One of the things that we'll learn about and need to consider when we talk about compatibility doesn't mean that you have to have someone who's just like you in a relationship. You know, and sometimes it's better if you don't have someone just like you, because, you know, as I heard the saying before, if both of us are exactly the same, one of us ain't necessary. You know, so, you know, if both of us the same, you know, but we have to be able to add something to one another's lives and appreciate the difference. Sometimes we have to realize that we're really being selfish sometimes and very self-absorbed, because we think everybody ought to be like us. You know, just because you're you think the toilet paper should roll under and he thinks it should roll over, and you want to fight. Well, every time you go in there, switch it the way you want it. Then let him switch it back. Or learn to just deal with it. You know, so we get caught up in little things and we deny some of the deeper things that really make us compatible.
Communication is defined as the giving or exchanging of information, dialogue, discussion, conversation, communion. A communication skill is the expression of one's personal perception while allowing another person the opportunity to help you understand their perception. Try and reach mutual understanding. You communicate whether you do it effectively or not. You can have healthy communication or unhealthy. Learn to say what you mean and mean what you say. Communication goes beyond words. You must take the time to learn how your mate, and if you're single, your relationships, your friends, how they communicate. You can't teach them another language, yours, until you learn the language he or she knows.
When we talk about communication and understanding that definition, again, you're sharing your perspective, your perception, which is valid, and allowing another person to share their perception, which is also valid, and then trying to reach a mutual understanding. Sometimes we spend too much time trying to invalidate someone else's perception. You know, you're wrong, well, that ain't right. But that you have to be able to hear what that person is saying and understand their perception and how maybe they reached their conclusions that they've reached before you start sharing your perception. And then once both of you share, then you're trying to reach a place of mutual understanding where you see and hear things the same way. Because a lot of times it's almost like if we don't understand how to communicate, and it talks about, you know, understanding your mate's language and understanding how they communicate. When, you know, when you're talking one way and a person hears another way, it's almost like you're speaking a different language. And if you don't understand the lingo somewhere, it makes it very difficult to get anything done or to come to any mutual understanding. You have to learn to communicate in a way where you can be received and understood. And sometimes it takes a moment to be able to convey to somebody something the way they understand it. A lot of times singles, you get confused about how somebody feels about you just from a simple statement. You know, a man might say to a young lady, you know, I can see you the marrying type. Now, how do you take that? Does that mean he sees you as a potential marriage partner, or he just recognizes that you want to be married? Look at somebody say it depends on what you heard. See, all he said was, I can see you're the marrying type. And you took that, and in your mind, you know, you went to CVS, bought a bride's book, because he said, he see me as the marrying type. He said to me that I'm the type he want to marry. That's not what he said. He didn't say you the type he want to marry. He said you are the marrying type. So sometimes we got to listen to that, making sure that what we're hearing is what's being said.
Relationship Clinic every Wednesday at 7 p.m., February 3rd, 10th, 17th, and 24th. Host church, Pilgrim Cathedral of Atlanta, South DeKalb location. Facilitators, Drs. Kent and Diana Branch.